Welcome in to NHL Tonight. First shift for a Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, Election Day here in the United States. Kevin Weeks, EJ Radick here for you. So we've got a lot to talk about today with a big slate of games. And our guy, JD Lindberg, our producer, would like to welcome him in. He's got his little sticker on. You were out doing the right thing and voting today.
Got to do your civic duty down here. We're fortunate enough to, be part of this great nation.
Exactly.
So you want to do your civic duty, vote your conscience.
All right.
And I'm looking forward. We got Elliot Friedman coming up in the next segment. I hope you guys will explain the intricacies of the Electoral College to Elliot.
Yeah, I think we're going to pass on that in this particular instant. Maybe maybe later in the year when we can look back on it one way or the other.
We'll get Steve Kornacki in here.
Well, listen, he's busy. That guy, he's busy. I only go to him for horse racing stuff anyway. He does that as well. So we'll see. But yeah, we got a big show today. You're right, JD. We got a big show and we got 11 games. Let's get to first things first, because we had a couple of games last night, and we got our resident goaltender here, and it was a good night for the goalies, Weeksy.
It really was.
Jake Allen and Darcy Kuemper coming up with shutouts. We'll start with the Devils. How about Jake Allen?
Jake Allen was awesome in this game. As you'll see, a lot of point-blank opportunities. He was calm, he was composed, and there was a lot of traffic. You have to give the Oilers a lot of traffic. They had guys in and around him quite often, and Jake Allen was absolutely money up in Edmonton. Put it this way, you're talking about voting. When I went to vote this morning, there in Jersey, one of the neighbors that that met you last year at MetLife Stadium, by the way, and said that he helped you at the Springsteen concert.
Yes, okay.
You know who I'm referencing?
I think I do.
Yeah, he's like, did you see my Devils last night?
Yeah.
Did you see my Devils? Jake Allen had a whale of a game. Yeah. This is what he told me. We just finished voting today, and he's right. Jake Allen was spectacular.
Yeah, the Devils, they went out. I said in the offseason, I like it when teams go and fix problems, right?
Exactly.
And the problem was goaltending for the Devils last year. And they went out, they got Markstrom. They already had gotten Jake Allen, but he's in a good position as the number 2. When you look at the numbers for the Devils, they got the 6th best team goals against average right now at 2.78. So these guys are getting the job done and giving the Devils a chance to win on a nightly basis.
And when you're on the road, especially when you're facing high-octane offensive teams, and yes, we know it's in the absence of Connor McDavid, but they have another league MVP in Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Jake Allen was terrific in that game. And for the most part this season, as we saw in Prague, back-to-back.
First game of the year, he had a shutout. I believe. No, they did give up one goal in that game, but he's had 2 shutouts this season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Markstrom's been very good as well. So ultimately, I think the big thing for the Devils is when you have this many young offensive players like Jack Hughes and Bratt and Luke Hughes, and we can go around the horn, Nico Hischier, who's been great so far this year. When you get this type of goaltending on a game-to-game basis, it allows you to play in your natural flow, your natural rhythm, make plays, use your speed, use your skill. Okay, that was neutralized because the Oil did a great job defensively last night. But ultimately, they got enough to win, the Devils, and they really rode the strength of Jake Allen's performance.
Yeah, and they have 3 shutouts on the season, which is the most for any team in the league at this point. And it's like the bench. You played goal, but, you would imagine if you give up a bad goal in a game, you probably felt like that you would let your team down, but you feel like the team sinks a little bit in those situations. But when you're getting saves, everybody's up on the bench ready to go. You feel like, you feel much better. You're going to take chances. You're going to play better, I think.
Yeah, exactly. You can play more loose. You can be more natural. You're not as tentative. And with that, you want to be able to play on your toes. You don't want to play on the balls of your feet. You don't want to play on your heels at all.
Yeah.
You want to be over your toes, and that makes a world of a difference. But I would say this, and you've seen these guys up close. What's also impressed me has been the defensive effort. There was a block last night. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. There was a block by Siegenthaler. Late. Late. And Siegenthaler took a shot, and I think it was Bouchard from the point.
Yeah.
It was a Bush bomb, and it hit Siegenthaler. He was down on the ice, and it hit him in the ribs.
Ooh.
That, to
me.
No
padding, really.
No padding.
No,
and Siegenthaler got up after. He was back. I'm telling you, those are the kind of plays, and our man, Mr. Devil, Ken Danico, who played more games than any Devil in history, those are the type of plays that kind of illuminate what the Devils, how they've improved in terms of their team defense in conjunction with their goaltending. Yeah,
so a good night for the Devils and Jake Allen. And, kind of head back east now and try to keep things rolling. And now for the other game last night, the LA Kings, it wasn't as many shots against for Darcy Kuemper. But, Darcy Kuemper, he's been trying to kind of, I think, rediscover his game. He had that injury in Colorado. He went to Washington. It was a struggle there, lost his job. He goes to LA. Well, he's 4-0-3 on the season. So he's finding ways to win. He gets the shutout last night against the LA Kings. You can see they've played a lot of their games on the road so far. But Darcy Kuemper doing his part for LA and pushing them up the standings, sitting second place in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a big performance yesterday. Not in terms of volume, because he had 16 saves, but sometimes those games for a goalie can be a little bit more difficult. Why? You're not as in the flow. You're not constantly getting puck touches, per se. You're not feeling the puck making saves. It plays down at the other end. And with that, sometimes that can be more difficult. I played with the ace of that in the great Marty Brodeur, who knew how to handle that and make the big save at the big time. I think of the 2-on-1, a couple of these are huge.
Big stop.
That's a big one on Sissons. Massive. He had him going the other way, and he flared that right pad. But the one that he made on Leroux, the youngster, on the 2-on-1 was a big one. That turned the other way. LA went and scored down at the other end. So we talked to him, and talking to Darcy Kuemper, he switched his gear this year, too.
Okay.
He's no longer a Vaughn guy. He's in True. He said that he kind of liked the way it felt. And for him, he's trying to, like you said, have a bit of a refresh. And we know he'd been in LA before. They helped him reset. And that's what he's working on doing once again.
Yeah, when a goalie changes equipment like that, I mean, again, you know, I know you're an equipment guy.
Yeah, big time.
You know, like I think most goalies are, because it's such an important part of the way you go about your job. I mean, what else does that tell you about the situation? Does it tell you that he's really having second thoughts about where he's at and he really wants to change everything out?
Yes, that he's open. He's open to realizing, I don't want to leave any stone unturned.
Okay.
What else can I do? Is it the way that my skates are pitched? Are they pitched forward enough to have them profiled so that I'm not kind of on my heels or on the midpoint, but I'm actually over the puck? Do I sharpen them differently? Is there something different? And then ask him about the gear. He said, ironically, the thing that he liked most was the blocker when he put it on.
Okay.
He said he felt like the blocker was balanced enough and had a really good feel to it, and he tried it, and here he is. So you don't want to leave any stone unturned. Now, when you're rolling, you feel like you can go out there in street hockey gear. Sponge pads, you don't even care, right? You're like, no, hey, I'm good when you're rolling. But, you know, sometimes when things aren't going your way, or if you're looking around the league, you talk to one of your buddies, hey, I really like these skates, or I really like this stick, and you try to tinker. But when things aren't going your way, everything's on the table, and give him full credit for being open-minded to that change.
Yeah, and it's important for the LA Kings. I mean,
Big time.
They need good goaltending. And, you know, something else that's happening in LA, I mean, we know Drew Doughty gets hurt in training camp, so he's out for a while, right?
Yeah.
Brent Clark is somebody I've really kept my eye on. He was a high draft pick, and I got to see him in Canadian junior hockey, and, like, this guy was really impressive to me.
Yeah.
And he's getting an opportunity to play regularly now. And he's only played, he came into the season with only 25 games played. He played a couple over the last 2 years. I don't think he's called or eligible at this point, but he's off to a great start. You can see him here, 11 assists. He's up there with, I mean, look at the names that he's on that list with, some big names. So I'm excited for Brant Clark. I watched this kid play before, and I really think that he has a chance to be a really good offensive defenseman in this league.
Yeah, I do too. And even when he first got into junior up in Barrie in the OHL, there were a lot of people that were talking about him. When he was on the radar, I started hearing about him, and you can see the hockey IQ that he has. And the thing is, he's not a fleet of foot per se, and super agile like a Cale Makar who is, or Quinn Hughes who is. However, but what I do love about him is he can see the game in a similar ilk to those guys. His hockey IQ is so high, his ability to make plays, he doesn't panic. He felt he should have been there before. They've taken kind of a long route with him, of course, in the absence of the great Drew Doughty, as you highlighted. But he's been better than a point per game so far, which is super impressive for anybody, let alone for a young D. So he's added a nice element right now in the absence of their future Hall of Fame lock, Drew Doughty.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I watch him, and I'm impressed with the same thing. The hockey IQ is high. So
super
getting that opportunity. We'll keep an eye on Brant Clark, off to a great start this season. On the other side of the coin, for the Nashville Predators, the rough, bumpy start continues. Now, I mean, let's give them a little credit because they started 0-5, and since then now it's, what is that, 4-2-1, so not too bad. But you can see here through 12 games, a lot of which have been played at home, it hasn't been a great start. Ryan O'Reilly, after the game last night, he wasn't happy with the way he played. I think we have O'Reilly giving us his thoughts.
Well, I know for myself, I was pathetic and just throwing pucks away and not, moving with the puck and trusting in the game. And other guys probably felt that way too. It's just, we're just kind of sitting, waiting, and not, working together and tight. And it's tough. It's tough. It's a very good team over there. They play hard and they keep us to the outside, and you have to beat with numbers, which we didn't do. very separated on our forecheck, which is tough to get the puck back. And when we did win it, we just didn't win the house that we need to in front of that net.
All right, so a little bit of self-evaluation there from Ryan O'Reilly, who's been a Stanley Cup winner, a Conn Smythe Trophy winner. He understands winning. Just for a note, though, I got a good note from our researcher, Kyle. Last year, the Preds started the season 5-10.
That's right.
So maybe this is just a slow-starting team. They got on that run. Maybe they need to plan another trip to a big concert.
Exactly.
Such, whatever. I think the Eagles are out there this year at Sphere. Plan the big trip and then cancel it. And then maybe they go on another roll, but it is, it's a frustrating time for the Preds.
That's interesting. I had 2 of their games last week, and I spoke to Ryan O'Reilly specifically, one of the many people I spoke to, and you can hear his level of accountability. He's a guy that I covered since he came in the league at 18 years old. I used to do their games when he was at Colorado. Him and Duchesne, if you recall, came in both at 18. Yeah. Ryan O'Reilly's earned everything he's gotten in this league. He'll earn everything on a game and shift-to-shift basis. And when you hear him come out and say that, that says 2 things. First of all, he fought for only the 2nd time in his career.
Yeah. Stepping up.
Stepping up huge.
Because Kyle Burrows with that hit looked like he had a little need. It looked like he needed his teammate there. I think it was Gustav Nyquist. And so O'Reilly stepped in, and so it went.
That's right. And here's the thing that I like about what Ryan O'Reilly brings to the table. It's one thing to know, and then he's also not the captain, but he's part of their leadership group, and he's wearing a letter, and he's been a captain for years in St. Louis. But he's saying, you know what? These are desperate times. Maybe to me, he didn't play as badly as he said.
No.
But I love the fact that he tucks the bull by the horns and says, hey, man, that's the worst game I've played in the league. Yeah. That's the worst game I've had. And he went out and fought. And he's basically trying to send a signal in the group, respectfully, by calling him his own number.
We all have to be better.
By calling his own number.
We all have to be better.
The guy that's won a Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
And he's saying that.
Yeah.
So it's just maybe to catch the attention of everybody else, in addition to his accountability, but just catch the attention of the fellas in the group.
I got one clip I do
awesome.
want to show before we wrap up on the Predators, is that, last night Mark Parrish on The Fly, this is a play. Yeah. Watch this. This is Stamkos coming out of the zone, and he's with Marchessault, and you can see it goes offside. Watch Marchessault. He just fires the puck down. When I watch that play, Weeksy, Marchessault wants that puck.
Yeah.
He's ahead of him, and to be honest, I think Stamkos should move it to him.
Right.
Because the puck travels faster than the players.
Sure.
We all know that.
Yeah.
So, in that particular play, it just capitalized just a simple. See, look where he is.
Yeah.
Get me the puck. Now they were trying to gap up on him there a little bit. You saw the lefty was kind of stepping up, but move the puck forward. And so at the end of the day, these are new players in this situation, right? They're trying to figure it out. They're similar players. They're just not finding their way. And you could saw Marchessault was like, darn, he fires the puck against the wall. It's that level of frustration. To me, I don't know if these pieces fit together. Maybe you've got to get them on separate lines because, like I said, they're similar players.
Here's the big thing, and great points by you there. When you've got new pieces, and I want you to think international.
Yeah.
Okay? So I want you to think Team USA, any era.
Yeah.
Okay, now you got Bill Guerin, Brett Hull. You can go up and down. Leachy, go up and down. Now we've got these guys who are going to be playing in the Four Nations Cup. Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Patrick Kane. Whenever you have elite players, and Nashville went out and did I thought Barry Trotz did an outstanding job in the offseason. But to simplify the transition, you got to simplify the game. Yeah. Simple plays, quick passes, quick touches, short passes. And then once you start connecting on the simple stuff, then some of those weaves and some of the interchanges, those things will come later. Yeah. But right now, because there's so many new pieces, simplify the game. And that's exactly what my man Andrew Burnett has been preaching to them. Guys, let's headman it. Yeah. Let's headman the puck. Let's move it north. Keep it going. Let's move it quickly. And then we can get into some of the east-west stuff once we become better acclimated with each other. So I think that's, having seen them up close in 2 games, and that clip that you just showed, which is perfect.
And give credit to Mark Parrish. He showed it on The Fly
for sure,
last night.
Exactly.
But it's a great example.
That's a great example. And again, those guys, hockey IQs to the roof, both cup champs.
Yeah.
Both smart, good shooters, good goal scorers, but simple, right? Not to discredit anybody's hockey sense.
No.
But just for the purpose of being able to get the hand and glove feel.
Yeah.
Right now, you just got to go basic.
Yeah, and like, you know, not that there's anybody right or wrong.
Just simmer it
but
down
when
a
I
little bit.
watch that clip,
Yeah.
if I'm Marchessault, I want that puck.
Of
I'm
course.
ahead. I want it.
And Stammer would say the same thing if it was reversed, to your point.
I would think so.
Yes.
But again, these things, this is why teams have success,
Yeah.
and these are why things don't always go so well in games. Little pieces like that. So it was a good pickup by
Yep,
Mark
great
Parrish last
points
night.
by
We
you,
wanted,
Perry.
we wanted to share it with you today.
I
So
agree.
the Predators trying to figure it out. We got
Simplify it, boys.
yeah, make it easy on yourself.
Simplify it,
Make
boys.
easy on yourself. We got 11 games tonight, so it's not going to be as simple trying to watch all these games, but we figure out. Let's do the best we can. You can see it here starting at 7 Eastern. Sabres, Senators, Flames, Canadians, Bruins, and Leafs. We're going to talk to Elliot Friedman about that. Flyers and Canes, 7:30. Penguins and Islanders. Important game in the Metropolitan Division for sure. And, you know, you can see here the big news from Toronto. Austin Matthews not available for tonight's game. Day-to-day with an upper body injury, Week C. What do you make of that?
Well, it's tough. These are the games because these are the games to me, as I've been saying, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 years here on the NHL Network.
Yes.
These are the games where if I'm in the dressing room for the Leafs, boys, these are the gotta-have-it games.
Yeah.
We all gotta have it. Every one of us, from the net out to all D pairs and everything. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because to me, psychologically, the Bees have the psychological advantage, and we know that's been proven in the postseason.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that? You can only go one step at a time.
Yeah.
But you know what? These are big steps when you play these guys, if I'm the Leafs. And you're at home in Toronto. They should come out about 4 Tim Hortons deep. Everybody in the lineup should be like jittering, ready to go, right off the hop, and try to take it to Boston. Because to this point, and you got to give the Bees credit, they've owned them. And the only way to kind of turn that tide is to start to get results.
Yeah.
If we can beat them each with a game like tonight, and anytime those games are on the calendar, if you're the Leafs, we have to be able to beat them because you can't just all of a sudden be able to beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It takes steps.
Yeah.
This is a big step. Tonight's a massive game.
And they've won. The Bruins have beaten the Leafs in 8 consecutive regular season games, including earlier this year on October 26th,
Yes,
4-3 in
the OT
overtime.
game,
Mark
yes.
scored the winner in that one. Now you go back to the playoffs last year. Toronto, I think, put a little dent into Boston a little bit, but they've got to build on that. And to your point, like this is a game. Both these teams are kind of up and down out of the gate.
That's right. When you're in that division.
Toronto's home tonight. Get the job done, right?
Totally. When you're in that division, and you know it's a Division 12, but it's an original. How many generations are we going to go back?
Yeah.
Like these are two prestige, not only in the league, but in all sports, two of the most prestigious franchises. So the Leafs have been on the wrong side of it to this point. This is a game in the room, and I'm not sure today if it's going to be Willie Nylander. To me, if it's Mitch Marner, whoever, or John Tavares, whoever in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And it could be another player in a different role. Boys, I'm going. You ready to go? You ready to go? I'll be going tonight. Once puck drop, forget puck drop, warm up.
Yeah.
I'm going to be buzzing in the warm up. Let's go. Let's put our best foot forward. That's the way they got to approach these games to regain some psychological confidence when they go up against the Bees.
And Domi moves into that number 1 line center spot with Nyes and Marner tonight. So we'll see how it goes. I understand you had a little news, little tweet. What do you got?
Well, interestingly enough,
All
I've
right,
spoken
what do
to
you got?
several sources that are interested in pending UFA after the season, Trent Frederick. And I'm a big Trent Frederick fan. My guy Ryan Mougenel and the rest of the coaching staff do an excellent job in Providence. They had him down there. They've always raved about him. But he is a pending UFA. Teams like that combination, the grit, the character, the skill. He has some hands. That's the type of player teams are looking for, especially down the stretch and in the postseason. So he's drawing a lot of interest. I'm not sure where this goes with the Bees, ultimately, if they will resign him or not, because he's pending UFA as mentioned. But I know that a lot of eyes are on him, and he's drawn a lot of interest around the league, and understandably so. So this will be very curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, a guy like this, 26 years of age, kind of affordable. I think he's $2.3 million, and next year you say going to be out there. You know, these are the kind of players at the back end of your lineup that can make a difference.
Oh yeah.
To and put you over the top. So I'm not surprised at that. I'll be interested to see if the Bruins would be willing to move him, just because he plays an important role on their team.
Yeah, exactly. And they've loved what their fourth line, although they've kind of blended it up. But we know their fourth line has been great all year when they were together, the Bruins' fourth line. But all that to say, now for a guy like Frederick, I don't know, like maybe do they feel that they could move him? Do they have an appetite? Only the Bees can answer that. But I do know this. I think he's been a really good fit there, and I know a lot of teams are very interested in him. And to your point, when you're playing some of those when the games get heavy.
And they will.
And they will.
And they do.
Because, you know, everybody looks at the whiteboard. How often do we talk about this? we're calling the last games of the season Stanley Cup final every year.
Yep.
And when we come in here early in the season, all the teams are looking at the whiteboard. Oh, we got this piece. We got this piece. Until the mud gets thick coming down the track, and we get in the postseason. Those are the type of players that you need that can create a little space and time.
Yeah.
And can make the opposition pay and can score.
So we'll keep an eye.
Yeah, we'll see.
A little tidbit from
See
you.
where
And
that
now we
goes.
have the late games tonight. We have 6 more games, so 11 in total. You can see 8 o'clock, Blues and Lightning. Jets rolling right now, 1-11 of 12, hosting the Utah Hockey Club. You got the Kings and the Wild. That's a good game. Tough spot for the Kings, second of a back-to-back. You got 9 o'clock Kraken and Avalanche, 10 o'clock Ducks hosting the Canucks, and then at 10:30, the Blue Jackets are in San Jose to take on the Sharks, and Macklin Celebrini finally back. Played in the opener. It was an overtime loss for the St. Louis Blues, but he played well. And he's been out ever since then. So here we are into November now, November 5th. He's finally back in the lineup. So really good to see that. See a Draymond Green that's a big supporter of Macklin Celebrini. Of course, Celebrini, the dad, working for the Golden State Warriors. And so it's good to have this young man back out there tonight. And hopefully just picks up where he left off because he did pretty well in the opener.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see that rest serve him well.
Yeah.
Because as we've talked about, does he stay? Does he go? Does he go back to our guy Jay Pandolfo and beat you and play, continue college hockey? But he shredded it up last year as a freshman, one of the youngest to ever win the Hobey, excuse me, and all that to say, it's a big transition. Plus, you're going out to the West Coast. Yes, we know he's a Vancouver area kid.
Yeah.
But still, in NHL
lot
terms,
of travel.
the travel,
a lot of
that's
travel.
really demanding. So, Eej, you know what? Maybe this little break, beyond helping him heal from the injury, maybe this did him some good. And fill up the tanks, and he's going to be ready to go. I'm excited to watch
And
it.
I do think as the season goes on, the Sharks will monitor him. And, you know, there will be times might be a little bit of load management situation there, keeping an eye on Macklin Celebrini. But I'm glad to see. We love Macklin. He's healthy. He's back. So that's bad news for the Blue Jackets, who have to deal with him tonight out in San Jose. All right. We got plenty more.
Let's go.
Coming up for you on this 11 game Tuesday night, Election Day. We've got our guy, Elliot Friedman, coming up next to talk about the Bees and the Leafs. So here's a little quick news from Sean Hutchian. Today, the Bruins, their head coach, Jim Montgomery, said Tyler Johnson will play on a line with Matthew Patra and Trent Frederick tonight at Toronto. He was on a PTO and now signed and playing with the Bruins. So with that, we bring in our man in Toronto, NHL Network insider Elliot Friedman, looking quite dapper today. And Elliot, I know this is a big night in Toronto already. We're in early November and a lot on the line, I guess, here for the Leafs and the Bruins. What is the temperature there for this early season matchup between two rivals who both have been kind of up and down out of the gate?
You know, EJ, my line the last couple of days is nothing on the planet is bigger than Maple Leafs Bruins tonight. There's nothing happening that's bigger than that.
Yeah.
You know, I think this, you know, the Bruins, they climbed out of the mess a bit this weekend, you know, with the back-to-back shutouts. They played great. You know, I think at least now the temperature around them is dialed down a bit. And they always have this way of just tormenting the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Now, like, you know, everybody knows it. Like, the Bruins are one of the teams that just drives the Maple Leafs and their fans the craziest. It was quiet around them this morning. You know, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak did not do media, so it was quiet around them. Tyler Johnson did. You know, he was very excited to play, and you remember that, you know, he's played a lot of big games against Toronto, was a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning, so he loves playing the Maple Leafs. A bit of concern tonight, you know, Austin Matthews won't play. The Maple Leafs don't seem to think that this is a major deal. They play Friday, Saturday, Detroit, Montreal at home, and they seem comfortable with the idea that he'll be back for the weekend. But the one thing about Matthews is he's not shooting like he normally shoots. He had a brilliant assist on the Sunday goal for Nylander, the one goal they scored. But even then on the power play, he passed up a shot to make that great pass. And even though his shot rates don't look really different, his one-timer rates do. They said it was not related to the wrist that he's had problems with in the past. And, you know, the other thing I'll say about Matthews, guys, is of all the players in the league, he's one of the most careful about talking about injuries. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like to give away much. He didn't last year when he got hurt in the playoffs. He had a surgery that at one point we waited a year to find out about. So I think the fact that it's Matthews and he likes to be very careful about this stuff. We're not going to get a lot of information, but Bruins Leafs, it's always big. And, some of the members of the media were joking this morning that, they finally scored on the power play. They'd really been struggling. If the power play goes 3 for 4 tonight for Toronto, just wait for maybe it was the Matthews was a problem think pieces that are all going to jump up.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is let's go back to the Boston side of things. And uncharacteristically, there's been a little bit noisy prior to you even saying this morning it was quiet around there. Because they've always been very methodical. They've been very buttoned up. They're a legacy franchise. But for some reason, this year, it's been a little noisier than normal, Friedge. What's your read on that?
Well, I think some of it is that, I'll say this about Jim Montgomery, Kevin. I had a player agent who said to me last week, he said that there's too many coaches that when they go after players on their team, they pick somebody on the roster who can't fight back. Maybe it's a young player. Maybe it's a player who's deep down the lineup. Jim Montgomery, some of the players he's taken public issue with this year are David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand. And don't forget Pastrnak last year in the playoffs. Like this agent said to me, you look at Montgomery, he's not shy about picking the best players. And even when they won last weekend, he didn't like one of Pasternak's plays, the one at the end of the second period against Seattle, and benched him for the third. So I think there's been some of that, Kevin. The fact that even though Marchand said, hey, guys, take a deep breath, take a chill pill, it's not a big deal, we should be accountable, it's just rare in this day and age when you see a coach do that. I think the other thing is, Kevin, is some of their guys have really struggled. Marchand, he had a tough off season, 3 surgeries, got sick in the preseason. He's been a little slow to get going. Lindholm's been slow to get going. Charlie McAvoy, who I think is one of the best defensemen in the NHL, slow to get going. Like some of their best players have really struggled. And the other thing too is also, Kev, is that I think we've been kind of waiting for the Bruins to fall off the cliff for so long because of all the players they've lost.
No doubt.
When it looked for 2 weeks or a month, it looks like it might actually happen. People just jump all over it. Now, I think that's too soon. I think this is too smart, too high intelligence a team. But I think people do jump all over it when it looks like it could happen.
Hey, Elliot, I was thinking about this whole thing with Jim Montgomery the other day because there's been a lot of smoke, right, about his future there and how things are going to play out. And I started thinking about he had all this success for the last 2 years in the regular season. Obviously, it wasn't as good in the playoffs. But it reminded me a little bit of what happened with Gerard Gallant with the Rangers, where he had a lot of success, and in his case, they went to the conference final in his first year, and yet after 2 years, he was out the door. Is there any similarities there in terms of maybe what's going on behind the scenes with Montgomery and management in Boston? Because it seems like there's a lot of smoke for a guy who's done pretty well.
Well, I think EJ, it's tough because the Bruins, they're really trying to shut down the flow of information, and I totally get it. That's what teams do. I think the problem is now is I do think they were at least talking to Montgomery about the possibility of him coming back. I do think that was happening. However, I think what happens, EJ, is that, and like they were talking to Marchand about the possibility of coming back. But I think when you go through a stretch like this team has gone through, everything gets put on hold. Like, I don't think that there was anything until the last couple of weeks that the Bruins had a big issue with the way Montgomery was doing his job. But this is a results-oriented business, and the Bruins historically are a team that's not afraid to make difficult decisions. And so all of a sudden, you're sitting here looking at the way this team is going, and you're going, hold on. Like, did we make mistakes with what we thought we had here? Do we have to go on a different path of what we were planning? And that's not only coaches, that's also players. So, to me, I think the Bruins were considering bringing Montgomery back. And I just think the last couple of weeks threw everything into chaos that they had to take a timeout and say, all right, where are we actually going here? And if they now, the one thing that's clear, and Montgomery kind of said it last week, and I heard it a little bit today, is it's exactly what you said. The Bruins have had the great regular seasons, and it hasn't turned into the playoff success that they wanted, right? So I think they're kind of thinking, okay, maybe if we have our problems and we have them now and we sort our way out of it, it'll be better off long term. But that's, only a theory. I think the other thing, too, is, for me, it's Lindholm. I think, and I said this last week on the pod, I think Lindholm is a tremendous complementary player. I just think number one center, it's a big job for him, and he's got to get into it.
Freeds, let's kind of pivot a little bit.
Okay.
Let's head out to the Rockies, specifically the Avalanche right now. Obviously, it's been a difficult start for them relative to their expectations that they have internally, being a cup contending team. That said, Nichushkin is back on the horizon, slated for the opportunity to come back within about 10 days from now. We know he's skated, he's practicing now. What about the goaltending situation out there? Francouz had to retire due to some injury concerns and some realities around his injuries. Do you see the Avalanche looking at the market? And in this game specifically, there's a goalie that was a member of the Avalanche that was a Vezina finalist in my book, in Philip Grubauer. Who is now in Seattle, but they've got Joy Daccord. They just extended Joy Daccord, and they went a little further maybe than some people thought might have happened. Do you see a potential for the Avalanche looking for another goalie? And if so, could it be Grubauer with retention from Seattle?
First of all, Kevin, where are your pads?
I've got some at my parents' house there, and I have some at our house here.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
No, just making sure. In case they
Come on,
you know what, Kevin? I got to tell you, it's funny you brought this up, said this, because someone mentioned it to me on the weekend. Like, is there a scenario where Colorado and Seattle are a match? Because clearly Seattle has decided their guy is Joey Daccord, as you said. And the one thing, though, about Colorado is the surest predictor about future behavior is past behavior. And it looks to me that the thing that Colorado says is we are not going past a certain number on our goaltending. So what is that sweet spot? Like, I think Grubauer is 5.9.
Yeah, he's just under shade under 6. Yep, you're right.
So Seattle would probably have to eat a third to half. How do you think the Kraken would feel? And he's got, what, I think 2 more years? So how do you think the Kraken would feel? That's my question. Like, I think what you're suggesting makes a lot of sense. The one caveat I have is, how does Seattle feel about eating a third to a half of Grubauer for 2 more years?
Fair question.
Well, it would depend, I guess, what else you could get in that deal. But I mean, it would be interesting. It's interesting to think about it. While we got our representative from the goalie union here, I believe he is now the treasurer. I'm not sure. They changed position a lot, apparently. But I want to ask you about goalie interference, because Connor Hellebuck came out and talked about, maybe he made a presentation, I guess, to the league a couple of years back, didn't really go anywhere for whatever reason. And, I know listening to you guys have talked about goalie interference plays this year, a couple of them. Where is the, when you talk to, a Coley Campbell or people with the league or Stephen Walk, I mean, do you get a sense that they're, that this is an evolving thing? Do you get the sense that, they like where they're at right now? What's the sense you get about goalie interference? Because it seems like people are talking about it a lot in the first month.
I think this. I think that, let me answer this question, part of the question first. I think that the call from Winnipeg, Tampa on Sunday threw things into chaos. Okay. I do. I'll say this. I feel very strongly that, for the most part, they've done a good job with the player in the crease bit. Because I think now, even though, and I'll say this, EJ, I think some of those calls look really soft. I think they do. But everybody understands now that 99% of the cases, if you go into the crease by yourself, and even if you just touch someone with your fingernail, you're guilty. You're going to be guilty if there's contact. And I think everybody kind of gets that. I don't think we all like it, but we get it, and we're searching for consistency, and that's a very consistent call. This one on Sunday, here's the problem I have with it. If you guys go look at Ottawa's first goal on Saturday night against Seattle, initially the referee waves it off, and I'm going to lift my arms high enough here so you can see it. He gives this sign. He gives this. Like the player, and it was Nick Cousins, takes his stick like that and jabs it into the goalie.
The harpoon, yeah.
And I think that's his way of saying, if you, I like that. I'm going to use that, the harpoon.
The harpoon.
If you do, I was calling it the jab stab. I like the harpoon.
Yeah, the
better.
harpoon, I think, is more efficient.
Yeah, if you use the harpoon, then you're pushing the goalie into the net and you're guilty. And now then they looked at the replay and they said the puck was loose and Cousins was going at the puck, so they counted the goal. I thought everything that happened that night with that call was perfect. The problem I had with Geekie from Tampa Bay and the Jets is that the puck was nowhere near where he stabbed his stick. And I think that one, like I heard the aftermath of that one was there's no way that should have been a goal. And so now there's a general managers meeting next week around the Hockey Hall of Fame. I have a feeling this one comes up again because I do think that while some consistency was building, that one really threw it into chaos. And I think the general managers want an explanation.
All right. So
and I'll tell you something else, too. We're all chasing after this Hellebuck presentation.
Yes.
And we're going to see if we can get our hands on it.
We are looking to find it. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
But listen, the good news is that we walk away from this with the word harpoon.
Yes.
You know, as a definitive when it comes to those type of plays.
I'm going to use it. I'm going to say Kevin Weeks. I'm going to put the trademark thing next to it. Harpoon.
He is.
Thank you, Preach.
The harpoon. Kevin Weeks. Elliot, thanks so much for the time today, buddy. Have a good time tonight. Should be a fun game with the Bruins and the Bruins and the Leafs.
Should be, and I think also I'm watching. Just so you know, guys, I'm watching a little bit the Islanders. I think they're looking for a left shot D.
All right, there you go.
Yeah,
all right. Well, thanks for that little tidbit. We appreciate it. Elliot Friedman.
Your old buddy Lou will tell us, Kevin.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next, we got a new segment, Short Shifts. We're going to talking about the Islanders and Penguins. We're going to talk about those two teams and the Wild as well when we come back on First Shift. Well, it is time for a new segment.
What do we
like
got?
having new segments on our show, and this one is Short Shifts. And for this, we will bring in the one and only J.D. Lindberg, our producer. You are going to kind of monitor us on this new segment, and you'll tee us up for some topics, and we will opine.
Yeah, you guys are a little verbose at times, so I'm going to try and keep this thing rolling. And in the spirit of short shifts, Weeksy, let's jump right into it.
All right, let's rock.
Winnipeg Jets, they're soaring right now. What's the number one reason in your mind for the Jets' early season success?
Complete. They're complete. There's no deficiencies in the game. Starting from the goal out, the way the D's playing with my guy Josh Norrisy and Pionk, etc. Vladimir Nemestikov and some of the depth forwards have been good. Ehlers has been great. Scheifele and my man Kyle Connor, who looks like he's on Dukes of Hazzard, he's been great too. They're complete each.
Well, so in other words, you're saying there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think the question is, what is the number one reason for that?
Complete.
All right. You don't want to pull one out.
No, okay.
You like the whole package.
I love the depth, the package, because even our guy Eric Comrie has gotten a couple starts.
Yeah,
he's played well when he's gotten in there too.
Yeah.
So that to me rounds out that C, not the C for Calgary, the Flaming C, a C for complete.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this. I don't want to be too verbose.
No.
But I will just say that I'm going to go with the power play.
Okay.
Because they are leading the National Hockey League in power play percentages. You're over 40%. I think it's 44% right now. So to me, if I had to pick one thing, when you're scoring almost half of those opportunities, it's a pretty good reason, a pretty good way to try to get wins. But I believe you. I mean, I kind of agree. They have a lot of things going for them, including Connor Hellebuck. But I'll say this hot power play.
Okay.
EJ, I love that you're sticking to the spirit of the game here with one reason. Well done there. We're not keeping score, but point for each.
Thank you. Apparently we are.
Apparently, I guess.
We are.
Shouldn't get the memo.
Yeah.
Make it, take it. EJ, coming to you first on this one. Penguins taking on the Isles tonight.
Yeah.
Rough start for them. Will either the Pens or the Islanders make the playoffs this season?
I'm going to say no because, I mean, the Islanders made it last year. They've had a number of injuries already, and they're in that same habit of, like, kind of blowing some games here. I guess it's impressive that they're 4-6-2 when you think of the guys out of the lineup for them, but I don't think they're going to get there this year. I just think the other teams are playing well. Look at the top of the division. I mean, the Devils, Rangers, Hurricanes, Capitals, all playing really well. The Blue Jackets are at 500. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no on Pittsburgh, too. They haven't made it in a couple of years. I don't know why it would change now. They haven't really gotten any better. Crosby's been unbelievable.
Unreal.
But at the end of the
Malkin,
day,
too.
it hasn't been enough. And you know, Malkin has cooled off. He had that great start. He's cooled off. So I'm going to say no, neither.
I have to say no.
Yeah.
Normally I would, because I don't bet against superheroes.
Yeah, I know.
Ever.
And you're a positive guy. You want to be on the, you know.
I want to be, exactly.
You're optimistic.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
And I know that they're two good coaches. It's just right now, I don't know if the Islanders will be able to rescue the season in the absence. And who knows when things coming back, when Barzal's coming back.
Yeah, and Pelech is out.
Pelech is out, and Duclair is out. And then for the Penguins, it's been a bit of a struggle. And I just don't like their team defensive game, and they're not getting as many saves as they can at times. Yeah. So I'm going to say neither team makes it.
Yeah, I'm with. So we're in agreement, JD.
We're in agreement.
Both.
I like it. It's nice when you guys agree. I hate when you fight, you know? All right.
We never fight.
We got one more short shift here.
All right.
Okay.
Good one in Minnesota tonight between the Kings and the Wild. My question, I'm coming to you first, Kevin. Who's more likely to win their division, L.A. or Minnesota?
I'm going to say Minnesota. I love what the Minnesota Wild are doing this year, and they always leave you wanting a little more in the crunch. But not this year. Not the way my guy Kirill Kaprizov is playing for them. Not the way Zuccarello and Boldy and some of the other pieces that they have in their group. Each, I got to tell you, right now they're actually fun to watch.
Yeah.
And John Hines is coaching them up. Our guy John Hines is doing a good job there.
He is.
I say Minnesota. That's my answer.
You know what? I don't think either one of them are going to win their division, first of all. But if I have to choose between one, I think I'm going to agree with you on Minnesota. And the reason is Winnipeg has won 11 of 12, right? Like, they're not going to play at that clip all year. I don't think, well, Minnesota's probably not going to play at that clip all year. But I think that division will tighten up as we go along. So I just think in the Pacific Division, you know, Vancouver's going to be better. Vegas is to me, is the top dog in that division, at least certainly in the regular season. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, to be clear again, I don't think the LA Kings or the Minnesota Wild are going to win their division this year in the regular season. Yeah. But if I have to choose, I'll be with you just because I think there will be a little regression from the Jets, and that'll open the door for some of the other teams moving forward. So there it is, JD. Any thoughts?
Great job. You know, 2 agreements, though. Usually you guys are a little more contentious.
Well, we also agree you're getting on our nerves. You know?
Everyone can agree on that.
Yeah, I think that's what we were in agreement on that here on Election Day, yes.
In that spirit, let's get to break here. Keep the segment short for short shifts.
All right.
Are the in-lines still watching, JD? Did they watch again?
Gary and Rowe watching every day.
All right, there you go. There you go. All right, we got more of this stuff when we come back. Stay with us on First Shift. It is time for the Top Line Parlay presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And with that, we bring JD back. It's a big day for JD. It's a big day for JD here. And, you know, listen, when you vote, we like to we like to reward those who go out and do their civic duties. So what do you got? What do you got for us with the parlay? You won your last one before you went off to get married.
That's right. I'm one for my last one. Let's stay hot here. Let's get right to the full screen sterno. All right, first leg. We're going 4 legs again today. Hurricanes. I got them for the first goal in the first period. So we like a strong start for the Canes against the Flyers.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. Our next leg of the parlay. Ottawa and Buffalo. Linus Ullmark against Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I like under half a goal, so no goals in the first period.
Okay, first 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes of the first period. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we want to be specific here. So early, I like them to keep it tight. Moving along to Minnesota, we love that game. That's going to be a good one between the Kings and the Wild. I like Minnie taking advantage of the Kings coming in on a back-to-back. I like over them to score in the first period, over a half a goal. So 1 goal for Minnie in the first period. And then one final leg, Vancouver. I like them to be the first to 5 shots on net. I'm predicting a strong start for the Vancouver Canucks. So,
All right.
fellas, pick some nits here.
Let me ask you about the Vancouver thing, the first to 5 shots, right? Like, is there statistical background in terms of the Canucks starts this season that inspired you to add them to your mix?
No, this is all a gut feeling here. So, buyer beware.
Okay.
All right.
But I do like the Canucks to start strong tonight.
Okay, well,
right.
and Minnesota,
Stick to your instincts.
he's got Minnesota, which I kind of like because we talked about it. The LA Kings played last night.
Yeah, for sure.
You're coming in off travel. It's always tougher. I think that's probably a good thing. But Minnesota, I think, has only scored 11 first-period goals in 11 first-period games. So it's not like they come out of the gate
On a
flying.
siege, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's fair.
something to consider.
Yeah, that's fair. JD's, he's feeling nice. The wedding bells are still ringing
yeah.
in his ears, which is
Yeah.
good, which they should be. So, JD, go with what you're feeling. I could see this having I could see maybe 3 or 4 on there each.
Well, let's just say
Maybe
this.
3 or 4.
Well, you need to get all 4 to be a winner.
But
And I'll just add
we didn't want to
this.
say he's going to be a loser, but you know.
Yeah, I just say this. When he was single,
Yeah.
he got all 4 last
Oh,
time.
that's
now
right.
he's gotten married.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the focus has changed.
Yeah, let's see.
So
Now
It's a
that
big
we know
bet
he's
for
officially in
Daniela
love.
So this is a big one for the wife tonight. Let's
That's right.
see how it goes.
All right, JD.
All right. Well, listen, that's our top line parlay presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Keep an eye on that tonight. When we come back, we got a little chirping incident we want to discuss, and it involves the Great 8. That's next on First Shift.
This week on DraftKings Sportsbook, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and sign up with promo code FLY. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
All right, players only. I've never liked someone that beat me up more in my life.
Those are 2 tough matchups. The group's pretty excited right now.
I've got a brother that doesn't take it easy on me.
Yeah.
Pre-game with the players before the pucks drop. NHL Now, coming up next on NHL Network.
Let's take a look at this tweet quickly. Peter Kochetkov, I guess he gets chirped by Alex Ovechkin. Scored on him the other night. He goes, every time he tell me a lot of bad words. You score on me. I score on you. I score on you. All Russians do this. No problem for me. That's what Peter says. What do you think? Everybody ever chirp you when they scored on you?
Yeah, a lot of guys. A lot of guys. Ray Ferraro, though, especially. Ray Ferraro liked
Really?
to talk a lot on the ice.
And now he's still talking.
He's still talking.
All right,
Farm.
we're out of time. Ray,
Farm.
be careful.